I'm 51 and my biological age is around 42. I train only 2 hours a week. I take less protein than what most people in the fitness arena consider normal or even sane. And I take a very specific set of supplements, and it's not random, it's not trendy. This set of supplements is designed to answer one specific question, and this question is, how do I keep the repair systems in my body high and functioning and the anabolic systems low? So in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly that supplement stack, everything that I take. Also, keep in mind that this video is the 4th in the series. I already went through mindset, training, nutrition, and this is the supplementation part. So without any further ado, let's go in. Before I give you exactly what I take, my supplement stack, I want to show you a quick diagram to go into the science behind increasing these repair pathways and decreasing the anabolic pathways in the body. So look at the screen right now. You see a triangle. This triangle has 4 elements: mTOR, AMPK, Sirtuins, and NAD+. The mTOR pathway is the anabolic pathway. AMPK is the repair and recover pathway. These two, the mTOR and the AMPK, activate and inhibit each other. In other words, when the mTOR pathways is activated, it inhibits the AMPK pathway, but the opposite is also true. When the AMPK or the recovery and restoration pathway is activated, it inhibits the mTOR or anabolic pathway. The AMPK activates the Sirtuins pathway, and the Sirtuins need NAD+ to function. Here's a little bit more about each one of these pathways in the body. Starting with mTOR. mTOR is like the growth switch in the body. It builds muscle, it builds cells, but it builds all kinds of things that you don't want in the body as well. It's like a bricklayer. It lays bricks all the time when it's activated, and some of these bricks you don't want in your body. And if you're over 40, you want this quieted down most of the time. You want this down regulated. Here is what mTOR does. It regulates cell growth, protein synthesis, and the anabolic processes in the body. It's also activated by leucine, one of the essential amino acids, growth factors like IGF-1, and caloric surplus, meaning eating a lot of calories. Why it matters? Excess mTOR activity is linked to accelerated aging, cancer formation, and neurodegenerative diseases. Here is how to regulate it or how to downregulate it. Fasting downregulates it, that's caloric restriction, and low protein and plant-based diets. The AMPK pathway is the energy sensor in the body. It senses when the energy is low and it gets activated. It promotes fat burning, mitochondrial biogenesis, and autophagy. Autophagy is the cleaning up of the cells from the inside. It also inhibits the mTOR anabolic pathway. Why it matters that the AMPK is upregulated? It activates catabolic pathways, which break down the damaged components for fuel. It improves insulin sensitivity and it reduces inflammation, and it supports the mitochondrial health through the autophagy process. How to activate AMPK? It gets activated through fasting or calorie restriction, exercise, especially endurance training, and berberine and polyphenols, which resveratrol is. Finally, the Sirtuins pathway, Sirtuins 1 to 7. Here is what the Sirtuins do when they're upregulated. They regulate gene expression, they improve DNA repair, they lower inflammation, and they improve the mitochondrial function. They also require NAD+ to function, which declines with age, and that's why it's important that we upregulate the Sirtuins as we age. Why they matter in aging? Because they promote genomic stability, metabolic efficiency, and longevity, as shown in yeast and mice and calorie-restricted humans. How to activate the Sirtuins? Like I said, NAD boosters like NMN or NR, they activate the Sirtuins. Also fasting, calorie restriction, and low insulin levels. So again, the key relationship between these three to remember, going back to the triangle I showed in the beginning, is AMPK inhibits mTOR, in other words, repair over growth. AMPK also activates the Sirtuins, and the Sirtuins need NAD+ to function. Everything I take and everything I don't take, including my nutrition, which I talked about in the previous video, comes back to this specific triangle. And finally, now we're getting to my actual supplement stack. But before I go into it, a quick disclaimer. This is for information purposes only. Please do your own research. Don't just copy my stack. Starting with NMN. That's not M&M, it's NMN, nicotine mononucleotide. I take 500 milligrams first thing in the morning as soon as I get up. The NMN is the precursor to NAD+, and as I said in the video here, NAD+ is what the Sirtuins need to get activated. Your body makes less and less NAD+ every year after about 40, so NMN puts that back in, and it's very important to add that back in after 40. With the NMN, I also take 750 milligrams of TMG, and TMG is the methyl group's donor because NMN tends to use up a lot of methyl groups and the body can become deficient. So TMG adds the methyl groups back in the NMN can use. I also take 500 milligrams of Resveratrol with the NMN and the TMG. But to be honest with you, as I'm studying the science, it turns out that Resveratrol is shown to activate AMPK in animal studies, but there is no enough conclusive evidence that it does that in human studies, and it's not the cheapest supplement. So as soon as my current supply is over, I'm going to stop the Resveratrol until we know more about whether it really works in humans or not. So this is my morning stack: NMN, TMG, and Resveratrol. A quick word on NMN. Please don't buy NMN from Amazon or some cheap website and source there, because what you can find on Amazon is not the real NMN. In fact, most of the NMN products on Amazon don't contain any NMN. The NMN, the real one, and you have to do your search here, costs 2 to 3 times more than the price of the NMN or the fake NMNs on Amazon. So what I just mentioned, the NMN, the TMG, and the Resveratrol, this is how I start my day, the very first thing in the morning. But since I'm going in chronological order, I want to give you what I do next. This happens around 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to go into it too much, but for completeness, I need to mention it because I'm doing it. So I'm doing microdosing of Psilocybin, and I started this about 2 months ago. So it's very new, and I'm going to report back when I have 6 months or a year of doing microdosing with Psilocybin, which is mushrooms. So here's what I do around 10 o'clock in the morning, and I do that about 4 days a week. I'm following the Stamets Protocol on that, which is 1.5 milligrams of Psilocybin, which is 150 milligrams of dry mushroom, plus 600 milligrams of lion's mane mushroom and 100 milligrams of niacin. And this is the flush niacin. Again, I'm not going to go more into that. This is the Stamets Protocol. You can Google it, you can find it there, but I'll report back on that as I go along. Next, at lunch, which is actually my first meal, my breaking the fast. If you know from the previous video on nutrition, I do intermittent fasting, so I don't eat anything until noon, about 1 o'clock. So with that meal, I take a multivitamin. I take vitamin C, just a regular buffered vitamin C, 750 milligrams. I take Berberine, which is AMPK activator. Even when we take calories, I take 500 milligrams of Berberine. Vitamin D3 and K2, that's 2000 units of D3 and 150 micrograms of K2. I take high quality fish oil and a baby aspirin of 83 milligrams, a very low dose. At dinner, which is the last meal for the day, I take the other multivitamin. I also take another Berberine, 500 milligrams, and another fish oil. So the important part of this supplement stack right here is the Berberine. Berberine is a fasting mimetic. It activates AMPK even in the presence of calories. It tells the body to flip into repair mode, and it connects directly to the triangle that I showed in the beginning. Finally, the last thing I take before I go to bed, this is around 10:30, 11 p.m., is magnesium, a magnesium supplement. And most people are deficient in magnesium. It's very important. The type of magnesium I take is magnesium bisglycinate, and I take 400 milligrams of that magnesium. It's shown not to cause any gastrointestinal problems, and it also crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it has calming effect, and it helps the muscles recover in the body. So it's very good to take last thing before going to bed. So this is my entire supplement stack. NMN and Resveratrol and TMG in the morning for Sirtuins activation. Berberine twice a day for AMPK activation. Of course, this works together with my fasting, and the rest fills the gaps and manages the inflammation in my body. Most of these supplements are well studied. Some of them don't have enough evidence that they work in human studies and in human models, and that's why I'm dropping the Resveratrol. Also, the mushroom microdosing stack is very new for me, so I'm going to report on that more later. And I just am starting to experiment with methylene blue, but this is absolutely new. I'm starting with it now, so I'm not even including it in this video, but this is something that I'll report on in 6 to 12 months. I'll create another video around that. The whole point of this supplement stack, and especially the Sirtuins and the AMPK activation of these two pathways and the downregulation of the mTOR pathway, is to just help my body do what my body already knows how to do, which is to repair itself. It's just that I'm adding extra ingredients to support my body in the repair process, and I'm managing the growth process, because over 40, over 50, this becomes increasingly important. So this is it, video 4 of the Longevity Escape Velocity video series. We did mindset, we did nutrition, we did training, and now supplementation. I've included my supplement stack for completeness in the description of this video, so it's easier for you to find it there. Final words. The whole purpose of the Longevity Escape Velocity videos, which this was number 4 from, is this. We want to be able to not only live another 50, 60, 70 years, but we want to live well and be fully functioning and performing. That's the point of it, because in the next 10 to 15 years, we're going to unlock longevity. I've said this before, the point is not to live forever, and it's not possible to live forever for a biological body, but on theory, we will be able to extend life almost indefinitely. So the point is to be able to enjoy these extra years. Stay tuned for more. I'll see you later.